much. Like masculinity was my whole identity. Like
Yeah.
I wanted to chop logs. I can do, the whatever standard of a man to,
Mhm.
I can do all of those things. And I almost became obsessed with it when I was younger because I had this idea of like, you got to be, this to be a man. And as I've aged, I've realized how ridiculous that was. Do I still love that I can chop wood? Yes, because I can keep my wife warm.
Yeah.
But B, I also love the fact that I know how to like when she goes to the store and buys makeup, I have the understanding of like different tones and like, hey, let's touch this up with blush
Right,
and
right.
different makeup things and having that sensitivity to me, I don't know if a lot of straight men know this, but it makes it sexier for women
Mhm.
when you are, like on this side.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem in that department. I got no dick and I've had a wife for 17 years. So
Okay.
clearly I'm doing something right, y'all. Um,
Listen,
and I think that makes some cis men uncomfortable that I got that BDE without having
can
it.
I say this? Listen to what we have to say and subscribe to this channel.
Mhm, and does it get petty? Does it?
Yeah. Because Blair had lied on me and said that I threatened her.
Yes, I wanted to talk about that
Oh,
as well.
yeah.
And I definitely need to talk about that because my safety was in jeopardy at one point because of her lying.
Yeah.
And I will say, because I have mad receipts, Blair White lied and said that I threatened her on set. She went to her little low budget podcast, and I do mean low budget, like low budget in the dirt. It is a trash podcast, just like she is. And the thing is, and I humbly say, and I disrespectfully, humbly say it. Um, and because the thing is, all of a sudden, these conservative trolls come over to my page and accuse me of threatening her. And so here's the thing. She's very white adjacent. She's very in white proximity. Because I'm a black person and because racists are part of her platform as far as those that follow her, she didn't think about my safety. She didn't care about my safety. She didn't care about what these people could have done to me for her lies. This is why I appreciate Jubilee actually releasing the Patreon because what happened was the director came into my room after the meditation. She walked up to me and she was just like, Blossom, I know it's biased. But we don't want Blair to leave the set. And I actually had to check the director in her place. Then I said, let me tell you something. I've been on this set before. The last time I was here, I had a great time. Everyone treated me kindly. Everyone was sweet. Um, the conservative women, although we had different viewpoints, all got along. We all exchanged Instagram information.
Mm,
It was a vibe
wow.
and a good time. And that's what I was expecting coming here. And it was so funny because, they reached out to me to ask if I knew another trans man who would wanna come on, and of course, I thought of you. And, because I've suggested another trans man to them before and it worked out or whatever, they trust me enough to bring people in to the platform. And I stood up and I told her, I said, "I'm the only black person on this set, and I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe because this girl is attacking me. Y'all typecast. Let's just be really clear. Y'all typecast for this episode because, again, she intentionally had a problem with non binary people and trans activists. So I knew we were automatically going to be the target. So the thing was, something changed in that director after that conversation because the second half, she was so much better after I told her that. And it was crazy. I should not have, but the thing is, for some reason, that platform is really good for my brand because I love to debate. Whenever I put up those Jubilee debate videos on my page, they're some of the highest rated viewed videos. So I'm like, okay, so y'all will watch me debate somebody.
Yeah.
Cool, it works for me. But I like going over to that platform because I love debating different viewpoints. And so, like everyone was welcoming and everything or whatever. But I will say, because Jubilee released that unedited Patreon version or extended version of it or whatnot, they can be worked on.
Yeah.
Because number one, she had lied on their platform saying that they had edited into our favor, which is not true because Jubilee had been known to lean more conservative in the editing process. And I do see exactly what people are saying. But I also think too, probably what it is they just may have a more conservative leaning audience and they can't control their audience because this is about middle ground. You're supposed to find middle ground, but I think they attract more conservatives than they do liberals, and that's something they can't control. Now, I don't want to take away other people's experiences that have gone on that show, and it did lean in that way. But you kind of can't control anything or whatever. But what was so powerful about this was I told them because they had asked for feedback after everything happened. And the thing is, let me make it very clear. I was at a Black Creative Summit by GLAD. I was one of 150 people selected out of 500 Black queer creatives to attend this summit to better myself as a Black creative. So what ended up happening was it was over the Friday and that Saturday. I was so bummed about missing Saturday, but something told me I need to show up for my community this day. So what ended up happening was I did the GLAD summit on Friday. I took really good notes. There was one session where Francesca and Delilah, I hope I'm saying her name right, were talking, and I took so much notes off of their session because that session actually helped me deal with Jubilee after everything happened with Blair, which is crazy. And this is an all Black creative summit. It's the first that GLAD ever did. They're trying to move towards more of an inclusive way. And so it's kind of crazy because I think I'm about to become their first success story from the summit, especially with this debate. And so, I was like, you know what? Let me do this for my community. And you remember for a fact, like, I was so bummed about the last 2 sessions because I wanted to shoot the debate and go to the last, 2 sessions or whatever. Because 'cause I'm like, oh my god," and I missed it, and it was kinda crazy because when you dropped me off from the show and everything, I got back to my room. Well, before I got to my room, my sister Shar, I was passing her, and she was like, "Blossom, what's wrong?" And, I had told her that Blair had called me ugly. And she was just like, "Okay, you need to decompress. Like, you're holding a lot in. Just take care of yourself." And we had the closing reception later that night. So this is like in the evening. So I was like, I had a couple of hours to do so. So when I got back in my room, that's when I broke down and I started crying.
Mm.
I started crying because I had never felt so disrespected by somebody that was just so unprofessional and just somebody that is so despicable. I'll call Blair White despicable. That's literally how I feel. And people can say, "Oh, you shouldn't call another trans person that da 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 da," or whatever. Let's start addressing racism in our community.
Mhm.
Let's start addressing anti-blackness in our community, please.
Mhm.
Let's start addressing. Oh, sorry. Let's start addressing the fact that some of our trans Latina sisters can be anti-black.
Mhm.
Let's name it because if Blair is talking about her being half Latina, where are the trans Latinas showing up to um what's the word? Denounce her anti-blackness. Are y'all gonna show up? Because I know some of my trans Latina sisters like Joanna Safredo and Geneset Gutierrez, they'll check that. Those are my girls. Those are my sisters, my beautiful Latina trans sisters. Like we have these conversations around anti-blackness.
Mhm.
And I also understand that white supremacy does play a part for all of us or whatever. It's that one common denominator that we have.